Thank you for staying with us. We have quite an interesting conversation we'll kick off this morning. We have our guest, engineer Kenneth Nwabueze, MFR, a visionary technologist and entrepreneur whose career bridges innovation across continent. He was born in Nigeria and educated in the United States. He spent over 2 decades shaping technology policy and solutions, including serving as special advisor on science and technology to former U.S. President George W. Bush and to the United Nations under Kofi Annan. He has been recognized amongst the 50 most influential blacks in technology by the NAACP. He's led multiple ventures globally and currently chairs the Kenneth Group. It is great to have you. You are welcome.
Pleasure to
That's
be
a very
here.
abridged version. Because if we went on, we'd spend all the time that we have here. But
Yes.
it is great to have you, someone like this, a great global technological mind. We're talking digital security and everything connected.
Correct.
We live in a world now that is basically digital.
Correct.
And as we're mentioning, everything is connected. What does that mean in a world past just the use of our smartphones? What do we mean by everything connected?
Great, great. First of all, good morning, Nigerians. It's a great day to be here in this studio. Beautiful studio. I love it. You guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Everything connected, everyone and everything connected means going beyond just voice and data. Looking at a digitally connected world, looking at safety, security of that. We've got to build a trustworthy system. So when we look at everything connected, we're not just talking about voice and data, which our past or current MNOs focus on. We're coming in and saying these systems needs to be trusted. Technology is an enabler. It makes everything easier. When we look at what's going on around the world, we look at AI, we look at all those things. It's about building a trusted system and connecting everything. When everything is connected, both on the urban and rural level for individuals, and then systems from vehicles to homes, smart homes and all that, and they're all connected, it makes life easier to live, and it makes the system work more perfectly than it
Now,
is.
with such an exposure, there's the issue of cybersecurity.
Yes.
There's the issue of those frameworks. How there's that growing need for you to ensure that everything is quite secure, so that to guard against threats, as it were, which would always come.
Yes.
How is that achievable in such a framework?
So, it's an ecosystem. People always come to me and they ask me, am I secured? Is the government watching me? Is this going on or that going on? It's an ecosystem that starts with government making the rules, providing a guardrails so that nobody falls outside guardrails. Companies that are building those applications needs to take privacy into consideration. So driven by privacy should be their motto. Everything they do should start with the individual. How is this individual protected using our system? And the last part of that ecosystem is going to be the individual. We talk about hygiene. So you gotta have online hygiene as well.
I like that.
You gotta know what you click on. People see everything they click on it. The truth of the matter is, as long as there is God and there is devil, there'll always be good humans and bad humans. There's always somebody trying to get your data. And it is up to you to make sure you're protected. So again, it's an ecosystem involving the 3 key areas. Government making rules and regulation and enforcing it, they're providing the guardrails. They're saying, don't go outside these guardrails, you'll be safe. The companies that are building this thing has to take the responsibility of privacy first to make sure that your application or your system protects the very consumer that you're trying to give this application to. But lastly, the consumer itself, the individual, you and I, we have to have proper online hygiene, proper online etiquette. We have to know what we click on. You just don't click. Somebody sends you an email, oh, you've won $5 million. Don't click on it. They say there's no free lunch in America. There's also no free lunch in Nigeria. Just don't click on the thing.
Talking about America and Nigeria, as a continent, Africa, we're still growing when it comes to digital, acceptance and all of that. What sort of challenges? What are the challenges and what are the opportunities that are available to Africa in such an area where we are still trying to catch up with the rest of the world, the Western world, as it were?
Well, it's always a great opportunity to build from scratch. Africa is starting from scratch. We're just getting into building our cloud system, building our data centers. So it presents us an opportunity to actually do it right, to leapfrog and then learn from the errors that some of those systems have done. You know, when I look at it this way, it's almost like you didn't have anything, and then they gave you a blueprint. That blueprint has to take into consideration the errors that had made in the past. So for Africa, it's a dawn of a new day, and we have the young population that can build that. So for us, we have to look at leapfrogging the technology. Okay. We have to look at how do we move ahead. We're already behind the 8 ball. So how do we move ahead? And the way to move ahead is our young population. So Wonderful. If we can get into sitting down and said, this is how we want Africa connected, because Europe is connected, America is connected. In America is how many states that make up United States of America. Europe, when we talk about Europe, there are tiny little countries that make up Europe. The same thing. Africa are tiny little countries, well, with the exception of few like Nigeria and all that. But we've got to be a united Africa, and we have to be able to have a policy in place. And that requires our leaders. If we elect the right leaders and they can appoint the right people, they would know that a connected Africa is the only way forward, sharing information.
Talking about that connection now, you mentioned government. That brings me to my next question. Who takes the responsibility when it comes to securing and security as a whole in such an interconnected environment? Because everything from banking to healthcare to business, everywhere is interconnected. So who bears the responsibility? The government, the individual, the institution, or is it something that all of them will do it together? How does that work?
All of us. All of us are responsible, need to take the responsibility of it. I said in the beginning, it's an ecosystem. There's a tendency in this country to always blame government.
Yeah, very true.
Government doesn't have to be blamed for everything, because we are the government. We are the people that are electing those people. We are the ones that are supposed to say when they're doing the wrong thing. So let's look at it this way. It's an ecosystem. Government job is to make regulations and enforce it. And that's what I talk about, the guardrails. Think of crossing a pedestrian bridge. There's guardrails. You can't go this way or that way. You continue. That is the job of the government. The companies that are building this technology needs to take a greater responsibility in what I said, privacy first. Whatever you're doing, you're building your fintech, you're building an app to transfer money. Well, let's talk about, those fintechs have made our life easier.
They have, you know.
Money. But they need to make sure from day one that their system is privacy first. How do they get that data? Then second, lastly, what I talked about, the individual. So who takes responsibility? We all have to take responsibility. There's division of labor in terms of these areas. Government makes the right rules. Companies build the right technologies. The individuals use it the right
Wonderful.
way.
You just mentioned fintech. That's the one place I want to go to. And more people will say that with fintech in Africa, especially Nigeria, we are ahead in some ways than the Western world. Yes. That's what some people don't understand, because it's the way it's easy to transfer between one institution and another. It's not that easy. It's not that way in the Western world. How is it that we moved that forward in that particular regard when it comes to fintech?
So it's what I said before. Africa has a greater opportunity to use digital world to improve our lives. When you go to United States or Europe, you don't see the fintechs making as much wave as they've made in Africa.
In Africa.
And here in Nigeria in particular, you can open a bank account within minutes,
yes.
hours.
Yes.
Once you have your BVN and NIN, you can open that. You can't do that in the US. And it's not because they don't want to. It's because their system has been in place for a long time. And changing that system takes forever. It's going to take billions of dollars. And no bank is ready to do that. So what they're trying to figure out, how do I layer a new technology over an old technology? Basically, how do I pour a fresh palm wine on top of an old palm wine? But here in Africa, we didn't have the keg for the palm wine initially. So we're building from ground up. And that's what our fintech have done. The rules and regulations are there, but the old systems are not there. And when you think about it, you had older generation banks, you know, our First Bank, Zenith Bank, and all that came along. But here comes the fintechs, the OPays, the Money Point, and all that built from scratch. Yeah. So they were able to leapfrog technology. It's the same thing we're even trying to do in the telecom world. The MNOs, to get a SIM card, it takes long.
Yeah.
For us, someone like Vitel now is trying to make it that to get a SIM card, 5 minutes.
You get a SIM card?
Yeah, we just, you know, NIMSI has done a great job with facial recognition, facial identity. We just snap your liveliness picture. It goes to NIMSI, confirms
verification.
80%. This is Olumide that you're talking to. Fine.
True.
I give you a SIM card.
So
we are building from scratch to also leapfrog some of the challenges we have.
Now, we are talking a lot about Africa now. What is more important in such a world? Speed of adoption or sovereignty over data, as it were, with all these things that are happening almost at the same time. Which should take prominence?
There has to be a balance. First, speed. We need to adopt as fast as we can because technology waits for no one. Time waits for no one. We need to be as nimble, as flexible, as fast as we can in adoption. But on the other hand, we have to think about our sovereignty. So there has to be a middle ground, right? We looked at, when we met with NCC on the creation of the MVNO, we said, look, you can build a network in 1 hour by using cloud systems, but you're gonna export Nigerian information outside Nigerian shores, and you're losing that sovereignty. So is there a way where we can keep the personal identity information of the individual within Nigeria, but the non-personal information that needs to interact with core network can then go outside Nigeria and be able to provide that service?
Wonderful.
And that's what they did.
Wonderful. We have a very short time. Finally, very fast, what's the future like to you? This interconnected Africa, what do we need to do to get there? What do you see next 5, 10, 20 years? What do you see? What is it to you?
I can tell you this. The future is great. When I look forward 10 years, 5 years, 20 years from now, I am actually optimistic that our young, talented Nigerians are going to define Africa and technology, and not technology and Africa. They are going to drive the way. We just need to continue to invest in our young people. We have to build these things in-house. Again, I use Vitel Wireless as an example. Yeah. Our workforce is about 80% young people, less than 35 years old. We've built most of our CRM system, most of our online billing system in Nigeria. And the reason why we do that is to provide a job and then be able to adapt to changes, because things are going to change fast in technology.
Wonderful.
So I see a wonderful, beautiful outlook for Africa and technology.
Engineer Kenneth, this has been quite the discussion. More grease to your elbows. Keep on doing what you're doing. Having people like you coming back here, in spite of your extensive experience outside in the Western world, but to give back to the country is something that gladdens our hearts. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. All right,
I'm glad you're young.
All right, we'll take a time and I'll stay with us. Our final guest is coming right up after this.